What's up, everybody? This is PC from Paula's Purse, where the bag is always filled with topics to discuss. Hey, I had to come on here and just give you some information on what's been going on with me, as I call it, my little secret. All right. Um, I had an epiphany this morning. I called my friend Cheryl, who let me turn this down. It's really good to have friends who are outside of your race, right? Someone who can pull strings for you, make things happen for you. Not that, Black people can't do that, but it really is true that you should have some white friends, Pakistani friends, just someone who can help you. All right. But you'll understand what I mean by that as I move forward with my story. So I called this my little secret. All right. And you might identify with this, you might not. It might be helpful, it may just be a great story, but I'm hoping that somebody understands what I'm about to share. And here's the thing, I am nobody talking to everybody about somebody, and that somebody is Jesus Christ. All right. So, my little secret, um, 20 March 27, 2019, my father died. I was dating someone. And if you've watched my other episodes, then you will know who that someone is, right? Um, and shortly after my father died, my ex, he beat me up 4 times, right? So I would say my father died in March. It started in May, then June, then July, September, which was on my daughter's birthday, September 13th. And then in October, it was October 11th, that was the last straw for me. All right. And sometimes I have regrets about my actions, but then again, I think if I didn't do anything, then I could not be here. He could have killed me with the second or third blow to my head. So I was dating this guy named Byron, and like I said, we he began to get physically, verbally, emotionally abusive. Right. So I just told you the months leading up to the last month that we were ever together in that way, like relationship, right? So he was at my house, he spent the night. And then, I learned later on in the relationship that he was bipolar, schizophrenic. And so that's really difficult. That's another show in itself when someone has some mental issues and they are trying to function in relationships. it, you know, um, but we'll talk about that next time. But yeah, so if you've ever dated someone or have a family member that's bipolar schizophrenic, they can just switch within a second, right? I mean, sometimes they just wake up mad, they go to bed mad. It doesn't have to be anything that you or I have done. It's just something going on in their head, right? So a chemical imbalance. And then a lot of times, even though he had his medication, he wasn't taking it. So we woke up that morning, and my father had died, right? So I mentioned to him, I said, hey, let's go upstairs to my dad's room. If there's anything you want, like clothes or whatever, whatever, you could have it, right? So we go up into my father's room, room, very large closet. And, my dad was a cowboy. Through and through, he was a cowboy. So he had a lot of Carhartt stuff and overalls and the Carhartt boots. My dad was a dresser, but anyway, he ended up grabbing some things out of my dad's closet. So we were both standing in the closet, really big closet, right? And I noticed my father had like 4 or 5 small little boxes, right? And I was like, what is that? So I looked in the boxes and they were all different shapes and sizes of pocket knives. And I saw one that was like green, kind of like a green with some ivory mixed in, and green's my favorite, one of my favorite colors. So I grabbed that and I was like, oh, I want this. And he grabbed I think a pair of overalls, or yeah. And so we went downstairs and we put them on the table. And just don't forget what I'm saying, we put that on the table that morning. And I'm gonna just show you how God is so good, and God already knew what was going to take place. Okay, so now we're going to fast forward. We put the things on the table and we go throughout our day. While we're in the car, he is just flipping out. He's doing all kind of stuff, right? And I'm pretty much terrified, and he's driving the rental that I'm in. So when we get back to the house, we're sitting right next to each other. He stands up and he faced me, and I just see he swings on me, right? And then when I come to, when I wake up, I'm on the floor, right? My head is near the table where we placed the things earlier. So when I come to, he has me by my hair, and I'm laying down, I'm on my side like this. So as I begin to come up, he's got me by my hair with two hands, and I look on the table and I grab the pocket knife from earlier that day, that morning actually, and I closed my eyes. I grabbed it, I closed my eyes, and I'm left-handed, but I didn't cut him with my left hand. I just closed my eyes and I just lunged out with my right hand. I'm ambidextrous, so it was normal for me, but I closed my eyes. So I remember he stumbled back, right? And I opened my eyes and he said, "Bitch, you cut me," right? And then he reaches into his pocket and he has my phone. So this was all calculated. My phone was in his pocket. I didn't know that. He backed away near my fireplace and he called his mom twice. I know that because I looked at my phone and saw that those were the first two calls that he made before he called 911. So the police came and they put a band-aid on him, sent him on his way, and they arrested me. Yeah, I went to jail. And that is my dirty little secret that I have been holding on to. And the reason why I say that is I had a conversation with my friend Cheryl, and she's white. So I tell you, you got to have some white friends. I text her and she told me to call her. So I called her this morning at 7 a.m. while I was getting dressed and she was getting dressed for her job as well. And I explained to her what happened. Now, let me just say this. I went to jail. I got out. It was still 2019, right? So then we go through 2020 and it's COVID. Court cases are backed up to 2017. So 2021 comes, 2022 comes. And then I had two attorneys. And so one day I was off work. I was off work because I had sciatic nerve damage, and they called me. And they said, hey, the courts are backed up. The judge wants us to close out, these cases. They said you should just take the misdemeanor and just go on with your life, right? And I cried on the phone. My attorneys were both white, one older white guy, younger white woman. And I cried because I wanted to go to court. I wanted to tell my story. I wanted somebody to know what happened to me. But no one seems to care about Black women. I mean, they just don't. And I even told my attorneys, I said, Black women, I said, we're the most disrespected. We're not represented. We're not loved. We're taken advantage of. And it really hurt me because that meant I had to have a misdemeanor on my record for the rest of my life. And why I called it my dirty little secret is because I was working for myself, and then I wanted to work for a company, right? I wanted a W 2. But I was always thinking about my dirty little secret. And I didn't want to have to explain what happened once someone ran, my background. But after speaking to my friend Cheryl today, she said you have to tell your story, right? And every time I tell the story, I mean, I'm just tearing up just thinking about it, because every time I tell the story, people are like, oh my God, that's so terrible. And it is, it's so terrible. I had a knot in my head, my wrist was bleeding. They didn't take a look at me at all to get me a band-aid or cleaned up. No, nothing. They just put me in the back of the car. And I will tell you this, the first cop that showed up was a young black male, and he flat out told me that he didn't believe me. I said, well, why don't you check the knot in my head? What about the cut on my arm, the bruises on my hands? You could see his hand fingerprints, his fingertips on my arms, and the guy just put me in the car and did not listen. So I feel a ways about black cops, some of them, just the way that I was treated. So my secret is out. Okay. What is this? August 16th, 2024. That is a secret that I no longer carry. A thousand, it felt like 1,000 bricks were lifted off of my shoulders this morning after I got off the phone with Cheryl, because I just cried. I cried. And then I said, you know what? I have to tell my story. Not, I mean, hopefully I can help someone, but I have to tell my story to release the pain, the trauma, the fact that I walked around with it. Um, there are jobs that I feel comfortable now applying for. You know what I mean? So because somebody's gonna say no, but somebody's gonna say yes. Okay. I'm willing now to explain my story, my dirty little secret. All right, guys. I just want to thank you for tuning in. May God continue to bless you and keep you. And I hope you are living your best life, because I am. All right. Peace.